I'm on a few watch groups, and a common question that keeps popping up is what watch should I buy for my son? And we're looking on an age range between 12 and 14. So I decided to sort of add to this and see what is available. And I have to say that maybe a luxury watch might be just a little bit too extravagant. So what about something like this? A little vintage Casio. They don't cost much. They have a lithium battery so it can last up to 10 years. They are pre-owned, so they're going to have all the scratches and marks, so you won't be too bothered if they damage it. The thing is that it only has the time. It has one daily alarm and a stopwatch, and you can also adjust it quite easily, so it could become a little fiddly. So maybe not something like this. What about something like this? This is very cheap and affordable, and this is from Secondo. It uses a Japanese quartz movement, so it's nice and reliable. It is light, it is thin, and it has all the numbers on the display so they can be easily read. It even features a date window as well. It is even luminous, so they can even have some fun in the night. Maybe you think they're ready for an automatic watch, and the SKX from Seiko is a great watch. I mean, it's durable, it is 200 meters of water resistant, and it has a unidirectional bezel with 120 clicks of entertainment. Maybe this is something they would like, but it does involve a little bit of maintenance. And also with regards to the date, if it's not a full calendar month, then they're going to need to adjust this date. Now, will you have the trust that they don't mash up the gears and break the very fine movement inside? Now, what do you think about that? Well, I would say probably not as your first watch, but I do have something in mind that I think would be up to the job. So what about a G-SHOCK? They are tough, they're durable, and they pretty much can take any abusement you chuck at it. This is the GW7900, and this is tough solar. It also has Multiband 6, and it features a tide graph and the moon phase. I think this could be the one. The crystal sits deep in the bezel to really keep it protected, and it has these torque screws. Well, they're sort of fake torque screws, they're more for show, but they do make it look good, and also I think they would add a little bit protection as well, especially knocking on walls and doors. And looking on the display, it is nice and clear, and it does have something here with a subdial that's actually animated, so it has some entertainment value. It is a nice size. It's quite chunky, but it is very, very well made. I would say this could be a very good option. Now, prices aren't expensive on these and are very affordable. Let's sort of have a more detailed look and see what it offers. The buttons are large and have a nice texture to them to make them very grippy, and they're plastic as well to add to the lightness. It also features a center button here, and this is for operating the backlight, so it makes it very easy to find in the night. Unlike a PlayStation, all the information with regards to the button functions is all stamped on the watch. So it's very easy to follow. Now, why would your son want a watch? Now, there is several reasons, and one being the time and knowing when to come home for dinner or tea. But I think it's also useful if you have the feature with the tide. Now, if you're on the coast, then you will know that the tide can be very lethal indeed. And having this set up correctly so they can easily read the display, and because it's in a picture format, you can actually see when the tide is coming in and out. So I think this does have more of a safety reason as well as knowing the time. So let's have a more of a look around the sort of display and show what is there. Now on this sub-dial here, this is counting the seconds up to 10 seconds. And this is on the home time. It also has a nice blue tint. The graph here for the tide and moon has a red tint. At the top it's clearly with day and date with the month, and of course we have the time. We also have a toolbar here, and this is indicating your notifications. So you have the snooze, you have the alarm, your signal. You can also turn it on to mute, and you have an auto backlight. And down here is with regards to the battery state. So at the moment it's on power save. This would be a charging indicator if your battery got low, and this is the state of your battery with low, medium and high, and the indicator there is on high. I'm going to refer to the buttons as A, B, C, D, and the center one as the light button. From the home screen, by pressing button B the once, we'll swap the date to the world time. By pressing again, we'll go back to the date. The button D here will display, with one press, will display when the last multiband 6 signal was retrieved. And if it was a success, it will come up with get. It will show you the date and the time. And by pressing again, we'll come back out of there. Now, you can also just do a long press and actually do a manual retrieval. And at the top here is the signal to display whether it is receiving, and once it's received, this will go into a solid format. Now it will go through several stages, and L1 being the weakest signal and L3 being the strongest. So what I'll do, I'll just let this run and show you what it looks like once it's received. And it's just received. Now that only took about a minute, and as I mentioned before, that signal there indicator has gone solid, and now the time is adjusted. So to exit this is just a matter of pressing button D the once. Next I'm going to go through the adjustment menu. So while in the home screen, pressing the adjust button for a few seconds makes a little chirp, and it comes up with the flashing icon of LON, and this is the city code for London. So you need to select your location or your city code, and using the button B and D you can scroll up and down like so. And because I've adjusted the location with the city code, notice the icon there has disappeared. So I will need to set a new multiband 6 or an RC signal, or I just let it continue tonight and it will update automatically. So by pressing the mode button I can scroll through different options. Here is auto, and this is to do with the daylight saving time, and using the buttons here I can either have it off, on or auto, and I always like to have it on auto. Pressing the mode button goes on to the 24-hour mode, or you can have the 12-hour mode, and this is using button D here to select. I just found out that the button B doesn't work for this, and when it's on the 24 or the 12-hour mode, sorry, it comes up with a PM indicator, and on 24 hours you have the 24-hour format. Proceeding on, going on with the mode button, I can now adjust the seconds, and this could be because you aren't in a multi-band 6 area, so you need to adjust this all manually. Again, this is all driven using the B and D button for adjustments. Pressing mode takes you to the hours, pressing again the minutes, then you can change the year, and you've got the month, and you've got the day. And then you can change the key tone, so whether you want it to beep or if you want them to be quiet and have it on mute. So by pressing the button D there, you do have a tiny little icon that comes up above where mute is. And pressing the button again, it takes it off. Moving on, we can go to the light duration, and this is set at LT3, this is for 3 seconds, or you can have it on LT1, which is about 1.5 seconds. Being solar power, I think, why not? Let's use that battery. Next is the power saving, and this goes to sleep at night, and if it's left in the dark, show the display as blank while it's on power saving. So as soon as you press any button or expose it to light, it will come back on. So I think this is a nice feature to preserve the battery. Then it's back to the flashing city code. Pressing adjust just the once takes you out of the adjustment mode. I've just updated the multi-band 6 just to show you the indicator here while it's in the home screen. This will be always visible from now on. I like to say also, once the adjustment has all been made, you really have no reason to actually go into the watch and adjust anything. So maybe this is a side that you take care of, because they can't really mess anything else after that. The next functions I'm going to go through are the mode functions. So the first mode function, by pressing button C, will take you to the tide function. Now this is the main part of the watch. It always starts off at 6 o'clock for some reason, but you can scroll through using buttons B and D. So I can go forwards, and here I can go back. And when I go forwards, you can see that I've advanced the time, and also the graph here is advanced. So at 8 o'clock in the morning, it was a high tide. Now, you can go through on a 24 hours just for this day here. The date is written at the top of the 6th month and the 11th day. But if you press the adjust button, or button A, once, it takes you to the moon phase, and there is the moon showing, and this is the day of the moon, so it's 8.1 days, so it's just coming into halfway, or just gone over halfway, creeping onto a full moon. And here you can advance the age of the moon, let's say. So there's 9.1, and I'm going to take it up to the 15th now, and see that the day of the age of the moon has moved. So let's move it to, say, it's got to be the full moon around about sort of like the 15th day, like so. And then you can now swap back to the tide, and note that the date has stayed on the 18th here, which I had it on, and here I can advance and see when the next high tide is. The graph is also split into sort of 3 segments. So you have a spring tide, you have your normal tide, and then you have your lower tide. So this is all dependent on where the moon is, so it's very related indeed. So the next high tide would be at 1 o'clock on the 18th. Now I would suggest that you find the port data for your region, and you can enter this directly into the watch. And to do this, you just press the adjust button with a long press of a few seconds, and here you have the adjustment. So you can press the button, well, the mode button, and it will swap between the hours and the minutes. You can also swap the moon phase, whether you're on the southern hemisphere or the northern hemisphere, and then pressing again takes you back to the hour. And here you can use button B and D to adjust the hours, so you can get this very accurate indeed. And not only can you do this for just for the one date, you can do this for multiple dates, so you can do it for a whole week if needed. So pressing the adjust button takes you out of here. You can only advance the date while you're in the moon phase, so if I was to go to the 19th, I can press the adjust button with a long press, and here I can again adjust the tide for the high tide, and pressing the adjust button takes you back out. And it is so simple, like so. So the next mode from the tide and moon will be the world time, and I have this on Hong Kong. It's showing you the date. This is all related to Hong Kong, and you have the time. Now you can go easterly by pressing button D, so it's going forward. You'll see it go up to Tokyo, Adelaide and Sydney. And also you can go back as well. You can go westerly using button B, and I had that on Hong Kong, so it's like so. You can also long press on the adjust button, and you can add whether it has daylight saving time or not, and you have the DST just appearing there under the moon phase. Just another long press on the adjust will remove this. So that is the world time mode. So the next mode from there is the alarm, and at the top here it's showing this is the SIG, which is the signal, and this is your home time. Choose to turn this off and on using button B, and when it's turned on it's written on, which is nice and useful. And here on your notification bar, this signal is now illuminated with a little icon. I turned it off and you can see that go off like so. So from here we can look through the alarm modes using the button D here. So you have alarm 1, alarm 2, alarm 3, alarm 4, and the 5th alarm is snooze. Now these are all daily alarms, so just to give you an example, when I turn this on, you'll have 2 icons at the top here with snooze and alarm. So if I was to set this, the alarm will go off up to 7 times with an intermittent of 5 minutes in between. And when the alarm goes off, the snooze icon will flash until you go back into the alarm mode and switch it all off. So I'm just going to turn that off, and to adjust you press the adjust button just for a few seconds, makes a little beep, and as soon as you're adjusting the time it automatically turns on the alarm. So here I can adjust the hours, pressing the mode will adjust the minutes, and it's like so. So I'm just going to give you an example. Now you can use button B and D to go back and forth, so it's nice and easy, plus you can just hold it down and skip through. Pressing mode advances to the minutes, and let's put it on to 2 minutes past, and hopefully I've caught it. So I'm just going to exit onto the home time, and we'll just wait till it's reached 2 minutes past the 15, and you'll see here the snooze icon and the alarm icon will flash. I can push any button to stop that alarm, and then the snooze icon will flash, and this will flash for 5 minutes, and then the alarm goes on, and this will repeat for 7 times. So let's just play this out. Okay, watch the indicator up here. It's flashing away. So if I was just to push any button, I'm just going to push button B, and there you can see the alarm's still on, and it's now flashing with the snooze. So another 5 minutes from now the alarm will go off. So entering the mode again, I'm just going to go into alarm, and then just by pressing the button B there, we'll turn it off like so, and back to this signal like so. Now if a long press on button D, you get a little alarm test as well, so that can be quite entertaining. So from the alarm mode, pressing mode goes to stopwatch. This is a 24-hour stopwatch. Note the hours are up here. This does the minutes, the seconds, the 1/100th of a second, and this dial here will spin like crazy and be the 1/100th of a second. Nicely clearly indicated that this is stop start with an arrow, and this is your split and reset. So just to start stop like so, and you can see that's going berserk like there. Pressing stop like so, start it. Then I can press the split time, and here it's come up with split. The icons will flash here, and then when you stop the stopwatch, you'll notice that these icons stop. So that's your first split time. Pressing the split button up here, there's your second split time, and then pressing the button B again will reset. It's just like that, very easy. So from stopwatch, next mode is the timer. This is a 24-hour timer, so if you left it with all the zeros like so, and I just pressed start stop using the same principle as the stopwatch, it will start with 23:59, so it's 24 hours. Now you can just stop and reset. Pressing the adjust button, a few seconds, will chirp, and here you can adjust the hours, and from the mode button you can swap to the minutes. Now you can go from 1 minute up to the 24 hours, and using the buttons B and D to adjust. So you can go up, or you can go like so. Maybe you want a little test, so we'll just do it from 1 minute. Pressing adjust takes you back out. Up the top here will display the countdown timer if you have selected, so you don't have the time displayed like on some G-Shocks. So just pressing start will start it away, and in the subdial here it's counting backwards. It's quite cool. So I'll just let this play out so you can hear the tone. Okay, just down into the last 5 seconds, and then it will sound. And then you get a nice little animation here. It will just sound for 10 seconds, and then it will stop like so. So from timer mode, pressing mode again will take you back to the home time. Now I must sort of also point out that when you're going through the modes, it will chirp, and once it goes back to home tone, it will have a slightly different higher tone in the chirp. So you listen to this, and there is the chirp. I also like to add that if on some G-Shocks with a long press on mode while you're in a mode, so I'm in tide, with a long press, it usually takes you back to the home time. Now this doesn't have this feature. I thought I'd just mention it. And the last feature is the light button here. So let's get it nice and close and show you what it looks like. And it's in a green. It's very nice indeed. Now with a long press on the light button, usually when the light goes back out, you will get an indicator up here on this AEL, and this is to indicate that it is now on auto light. And with this being solar powered, auto light will only function when it is in more darker environments to save the battery. So if you do forget it during the day, at least the backlight doesn't keep going on all the time. So just pressing the light button for those few seconds or until the light goes out will switch off that indicator. Just out of curiosity, I'm going to weigh the SKX, and that's coming in at 106 grams. Now what does the G-Shock do? That's coming in at 70 grams. quite a difference. So what is your preference or your opinion? What do you think about these? Do you think it's too early to introduce them to an automatic watch? Or do you think maybe this is a little bit too complex and you need to keep it very simple and just have something like this? Which one would I choose? I guess I would probably choose the G-SHOCK. It's just that it has a little bit more of gadgets to play with. And as we all know, little boys do like to play with their toys. And being this has the alarm and timer and stopwatch, and also has the added feature of moon phase and the time graph, it makes it quite an entertaining piece. It's also very rugged. It's very, very light for all day wearing, and also has these little parts here that keep the watch from twisting on your wrist. But do you prefer them to get them really into watches and say, come on, have an automatic and really appreciate the very start of mechanical watches, because this is how they were? Do you think that's too early? Or do you think they would appreciate it? Now, if they broke this and damaged it, would it make your heart sink? Because G-SHOCKs, let's face it, you can replace these very easy because they aren't expensive. These do carry a more of a price on them, and to have them repaired, it does involve a little bit more of a cost, because this is something that you would not throw away after. If they destroyed this or left it at the bottom of the lake, you would probably just forget it and buy a new one. Anyway, that is the time. And I hope you found this useful, and maybe this possibly could be one of the options. So, thanks for watching.